Good Hollywood stories never fade, but for all the strange Hollywood scandals you hear that are true, there are almost just as many that are as fictitious as the movies that made these stars famous. Here are some Hollywood myths that refuse to go away, no matter how untrue they are. Frozen fib. On its face, Disney's Frozen is a loose adaptation of Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, The Snow Queen. But perhaps the movie was really just a feature-length homage to the House of Mouse's namesake. At the end of the movie, Princess Anna is frozen solid by her sister's curse and can only be resurrected through an act of true love. Sure, that gives everyone a moment to enjoy some sisterly feels and all, but for those that buy into the story that Walt Disney is cryogenically frozen somewhere, waiting for revival, well, it seems more like Wish Upon a Star. So the story goes, Disney decided to have his body given the deep freeze treatment, and it's currently stowed away somewhere beneath the animatronic Captain Jack Sparrow and the Small World ride. That would mean Disney is still waiting for his act of true love, which in his case would be a time machine and a cure for lung cancer.
It's frickin' freezing in here, Mr. Bigglesworth.
Of course, this story isn't really true. There's no evidence at all to suggest that Disney had himself frozen, or that he was even aware such a thing was possible. According to Disney historian Jim Korkis, Walt Disney was actually cremated on December 17, 1966. And all this story really does is let Disney posthumously steal the glory of the real first person to get a cryo burial, a professor named James Bedford. Not cool. Roar story. The MGM lion has been growling at moviegoers since 1916, which was before movies actually had sound, so it's as much of a Hollywood icon as anyone. And if there's one thing people love, it's the tale of a ferocious animal mauling his hapless trainer, right?
Now what?
In the case of MGM's lion, the story of a predatory animal having its way with a human being seems to stay pretty pervasive. According to legend, one of the early logo lions attacked his trainer and two assistants the day after its famous footage was shot. But MGM kept using the reel anyway because, well, it was just plain cool to have a man-eating lion as a mascot. Or maybe the lighting was just too perfect to let it go over as simple a thing as blood and guts. According to Snopes, the story was totally fabricated by a website famous for, you guessed it, fabricating stories, which rather ironically called itself Factropolis. The truth is that no lion that appeared in the MGM logo ever attacked a trainer. Hung out to dry. While the Yellow Brick Road produced plenty of on-screen oddities, from shoe thievery to a color-changing horse, there's one tall tale about the film that falls just short. According to cinematic legend, when Dorothy and Scarecrow meet the Tin Man and skip off into the forest, there's a munchkin that can be seen hanging himself in the distance as the film keeps rolling. The myth persists because if you squint and tap your heels together 3 times, viewers can easily convince themselves that a shadow in the distance is a munchkin dangling from the end of a rope. But the much more boring truth is that MGM thought it would be fun and whimsical to turn a bunch of turkeys and peacocks loose on set. If you watch the scene on a big screen, it's clear that the shadow is that of a large bird, not a swinging extra. So the only real story here is that Dorothy and her pals were probably skipping down the Yellow Brick Road through extra large piles of bird poop, which means those prized ruby slippers were probably pretty gross by the end of this shoot. Breakthrough. All the world's greatest heroes come from humble beginnings. Spider-Man was but a lowly newspaper photographer. Luke Skywalker was just trying to grow stuff in a desert. And Batman was, a rich orphan. Okay, well, most great heroes were humble. According to various rumors, Steven Spielberg, a man famous for telling great stories, wanted his own awesome origin story, which is why he totally fabricated a tale of trespassing, deception, and impersonation of a movie executive. Over the years, Spielberg rather shamelessly embellished his story, which started with him sneaking past Universal Studios guards dressed in a suit and tie and carrying a briefcase that contained nothing but a sandwich and 2 candy bars. From there, the story morphed into him spending a 2-year stint as a squatter in an empty dressing room, which evidently gave him the in he needed in order to become a respected Hollywood filmmaker, though the specifics are all a bit hazy, to say the least. The story was entertaining enough that it's still told by tour guides at Universal, although it's completely false. Spielberg actually got his start when he landed an unpaid internship at Universal after his dad introduced him to one of the executives. That's boring, though. What if Luke Skywalker had gotten his start with an unpaid internship with a Jedi Knight, right? Oh, wait. Exit wound. There have been an unfortunate number of on-set casualties over the years, but perhaps none is quite as storied as the loss of Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee, who was accidentally shot while shooting a scene from 1994's The Crow. There's no fibbing about that part. The guy really was shot point blank after a co-star fired off a prop pistol that was supposed to be empty. But there are plenty of people who'll scramble for the pause button during a playback of the scene in question and insist that what you just saw was the real deal. The truth is, though, Lee's final shot footage was not used in the film, and the scene was also completely rewritten so the manner of his character's demise no longer resembles the on-screen accident. So, next time your film school friend tries to pull a fast one on you, you'll know better than to believe any of these Tinseltown tricks. Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.